Welcome to another fascinating edition of Realities May Vary. I say fascinating. I don't know if it's going to be fascinating. I might have built it up too much. He's Cody Gough. I'm Brian Noonan. Cody, we're a couple minutes late because your son went on a rampage. Is that correct?
Yeah, something like that. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in my studio. I was going to start with my major announcement, which is that I'm going to, if you're watching the video, you may see me moving a lot, a lot. Here's why. I'll pan the camera down, but I recently received this stool. Now, this is a balance stool. So the idea is that I'll sit on it, but I won't really be sitting on it. I'll lean forward, and then this is an awful angle. I look just like crap, but I lean forward on it because it's got like a base that's kind of rounded. Okay. And so it's almost like a tripod. So my feet are on the floor and there's some pressure on my feet, but there's also some pressure on my butt. But it just came today. Yeah. So I am not used to it. I'm not used to my camera angle. I'm not used to my studio setup. And when I brought my wife upstairs to show her this stool, my son decided to start crawling around and ripping LED lights off my wall, which is why I was a little bit late. And Marta in the chat saying, work your core. Yeah, the idea is that it engages my core. The other thing is, if you've been watching Realities May Vary for a while, you'll know I set up my podcast studio to stand up the whole time. And that gets tiring. I'm not just standing in the same place in the confined space. There's not a lot of space in the closet, like if I were at a radio studio.
I wish I could just pull out that one line.
What?
Go ahead. Sorry.
If I was in a radio studio, there'd be a bit more room to kind of just step around, but no, man, I end up not happy. The other thing is, my camera's not next to where I'm looking. So my eyes are going to be I'm going to look real weird tonight. So just be warned, weirder than usual weird. But it's all in service to me being more comfortable physically. So I will make everyone watching this uncomfortable physically for the next hour and a half or so.
Well, the good news, if it gets to be too much for you watching Cody, you can just download this tomorrow and listen via audio, which is, perfect. Mike asked if it's like the Big Bouncy Ball. I was doing I think it was a Steve and Johnny show or a Nick fill-in, and I did the whole show on one of those balance balls. And this is when before I had started losing weight. It was horrifying. And I think it was Dan Chagru who was producing, and he took a picture from behind. And that was probably one of the worst pictures I've ever been a part of. Horrifying. Well, I'm looking forward to your new toned abs. You're going against the dad bod craze, which is a little, that's sad. I hoped you would embrace the dad bod craze.
Well, I inadvertently have, but.
Well, this was a big week because not only is the world still spinning and, the virus is popping back up and people are panicking, we all got to see each other in person. And by we all, I mean you, me, our wives, your bebe. And then we went and visited Roger and his wife, Bridget, at their new home. And Roger did a little cookout for us. So it was unbelievable. I hadn't seen your son since he was a very new baby, and I'd never seen him without a mask on. Which is, I don't know why you dress him like a lucha libre, but you do, and it was odd before, and it was nice to see him barefaced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it was great. It was great. He took to you. You around babies, or at least my baby, is like a kid in a candy store. You are on that wavelength. I don't know if I've ever seen you that comfortable, that excited, that happy. Like you were just. You're like peas in a pod. It was great.
Some say it's that our mental levels are similar, mine and a baby's. My mom always said that I should have been a pediatrician because I'm so good with children. I also like that babies are not judgmental. They may not like you, but it's just because they're, babies. So sure. Nothing to do with that. But yeah, he was a little tentative at first with everybody, which is completely, that was smart. because he's looking around going, there's a lot of people here I'm not sure about. I don't know.
Very tentative. I've never seen. He
Yeah.
buried his head in my shoulder, and he didn't want to look at anybody. And then 20 minutes later, he's laughing on your lap and eating whatever. And
no, it was good because he was getting the lay of the land. He's not giving it away too easy. He's waiting. He's making sure that people are worth it to talk to. And it was, man, he was a great kid. He's fun. He's he's tall and he's ready to go. That kid's like 6 minutes away from running from you. He's going to skip walking altogether. And when he goes, he's going to go because, well, you see him every day, but he's 10 months old and he was squatting and then he'd stand up and he'd start to, if you held his hand, he'd take a couple steps or he'd take one or two by himself and then look around like, what am I doing? This is crazy. And then just plop down. But how are his hands? Are they okay?
because when he crawls, he's like
he slaps the concrete like it owes him money. When he crawls, I'm like, you've got little baby bones. If I hit the cement that hard, I think my hands would fracture. He was, and man, he's fast. You're gonna have to keep an eye on him because once he's fully mobile, forget about it. He's gone.
Yeah. No, it's already bad. I ordered a baby gate for the stairs. Finally, for a while, my spouse was like, "We have to watch them anyway, Let's whatever." No. I cannot take 3 steps away because he's so fast. Like you said, he's across the living room like that. So anyway, I ordered one. The problem is we've got a metal railing with kind of thin banister rails, right? Like it's not like a thick wood.
Yeah.
The one I ordered is pressure mounted. So you've got to drill. It's supposed to be between 2 walls. You screw it in and then it goes real tight. The problem is the gate itself, they send it to you so that it's actually, it's like kind of bowed. So you have to pressurize it fully against 2 walls to get it to straighten out. So so I had to return it. I exchanged it because I didn't realize this till later. So now I have another one that's useless. So I've got to get like a plastic one that I can, because I can mount it to the one side, but I got to like wrap it around the other. So there's a million gates out there. I'll find one, but that's like a whole thing now. So
it was, I mean, we always, even when I was little and my brothers were born, we always had some kind of gates at the house. Now, back in the day, as you can imagine, my youngest brother what is my youngest brother? He's mid-40s, let's say. Well, the gates back then were still those accordion wooden gates where if you put your head through it, you could choke a kid in the gates.
Oh,
yeah, that was probably not good. But then when Molly was a baby, we had plastic gates, and then we actually bought. I can't remember if we bought a baby gate at like the baby store or a gate at the pet store when Gidget came home. She was only 8 months old, so she stayed. If we weren't there, she stayed in a little mud room where if she had an accident or whatever, it was cool. And we had a gate. We had a gate there, but that one was we had fancied up by then. That one mounted between the door jambs, but then it swung open.
Yeah.
That was big time. But you got to have one with a baby. Because you have a steep staircase, and that kid, it doesn't look like he knows fear. He's like Daredevil, the man without fear. So he's going to be going crazy.
Yeah. But it was nice to see you in person. I'd seen you a little bit without a mask, but I hadn't seen your flowing locks that now go. Fun fact behind the scenes, they go down to halfway down his knees.
Mm-hmm. I'm like Crystal Gale. There's an old timey country music reference for everybody. Yes, it was. The hair is long, and I've decided it's staying this way until Labor Day weekend. Then I will make a decision because that'll be 1 year since I had a haircut. And so that's what I decided. And Roger's house was very nice. Roger and Bridget were lovely hosts. Cody ate like he had a tapeworm, which was exciting. I've never seen you eat that much in your life. I was like, oh my gosh.
I don't know
I didn't
why
say anything. I just was observing from the other end of the table as I entertained your child because you were too busy gouging.
No, I don't know why I had two burgers and two burgers and 3 hot dogs and a lot of salad and dessert. I don't know. I did not know. Now I know that, and you allude to this all the time. Roger is quite active on social media. Posts
oh my goodness,
lot,
yes.
Shares a lot. I don't do Facebook. I'm never on Facebook. When we do Realities May Vary, I don't log on to Facebook. I log on to Restream using a link that Brian sends. I literally don't go to facebook.com. So I don't see any of that. And what I didn't realize, I guess I would have known this if I had followed Roger longer based on his gardening at his last home, but he's a hell of a gardener.
Yes.
I mean, the flowers were gorgeous. He's got unbelievable plans for his backyard. I mean, he's got some big, cool ideas. He's already done a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. It's hard to, but he's only been in there a couple months, and it looks like they've lived there forever. And that's a compliment. That is not that is in no way other than, man, they worked hard.
Yeah, no, they're more moved in than me. I've been here a year, and we didn't have a baby the first 4 months. So, yeah, he's got a leg up. But no, it's quite impressive. So, follow him on social media. Hopefully he posts more pictures of the flowers.
Well, there were new posts today about gardening and some new additions to the outside. The people who owned the house before Roger had done something. His garage was immaculate. It didn't have a concrete floor. It had like a beautiful tile floor, like you might see in somebody's home. I was like, what's going on in there? It was the most gorgeous thing. And then he's got his beer fridge out there, which was perfect because that we didn't have to go in the house. We just stayed outside, and he's got a nice area out there, and they did it all up. I like that you skimmed over the 2 hamburgers and 3 hot dogs, like people think the regular, just a regular old hot dog. These were gigantic Vienna beef. Like he said, they were the kosher beef one. They were huge. I'd never had one, and it was delicious. I mean, I've had a hot dog before.
Right. No, they were really good.
Yeah. The whole thing was great. And it was great seeing everybody. And I hadn't seen your lovely wife since she started her new gig. And it was fun. It was nice to get out and what, and it was really, I do enjoy having babies around. And Debbie and I were talking about this after the day after. And I said, "Oh, wasn't Casey and Cody's baby? Wasn't he wonderful?" Yes, he was great. He was so fun because he was hanging out with Debbie a lot too. Because let's be honest, his parents were drunk and being neglectful. Right. But I jokingly said, "Oh, should we get another baby?" And then we both went, no. It was perfect. It's like being a grandparent or an uncle or something. You're like, "Oh, I can have so much fun with the kid," and then the kid gets tired, and you go, "Oh, here, take your kid back." Yeah, so very nice. Roger said he was the best and cutest part of the evening. Roger, I take offense at that. I was all dolled up. I had shaved. Speaking of all dolled up, we haven't done this in a while, Cody. We have a guest that's going to join us tonight. A man that we have not seen since the world shut down, and he went from being just, and I say just, a food writer, a beer hype man, a jack of all trades. Now he has become some covert pizza charity benefactor, a book publisher, and he's still all those other things. And now, just as I was about to bring him in, he got up and left. So, so that's perfect timing. Oh, and I like that he thought that I wouldn't be able to do this as well. Yes, he is the man behind Pizza for Everyone, our good friend, John Carruthers. John, we haven't seen you in a long time. How are you? You look lovely.
I'm good. The hair is fantastic. I feel like we were missing this every day we weren't in shutdown. Congratulations on the hair, Brian.
Thank you. Well, as I've said, as much as I love the craft beer industry, I know I am at a disadvantage because I have no tattoos. But I figured if I went with the long hippie hairdo and then the soul patch, I could at least get in the door and not be, when I'm sitting in a tap room, and not be looked at like a narc.
I almost think you're approaching head pirate in charge if we want to get a little bit of Elizabethan with it.
I could be. I've also been compared to Cody. Compared me to this an old Western character, like somebody who should be on Deadwood.
Yeah, you just one spittoon away from being like a low-level marshal. You might or might not get it in the end.
Well, low level marshal. I'm not even a good marshal.
Ooh.
Hey, man.
I'm corrupt.
I just calls it like I sees it.
So I'm the marshal who just sits in the rocking chair out in front of the station, the sheriff's office,
Yeah,
and
like
doesn't really do anything.
Lee Marvin is making twitchy things and was like, you and the other marshal, like, oh, and like stuff's about to go down. That's how the audience knows that, and the Leone, the music, just the.
Well, I hope I at least go down in a blaze of glory and not like choke on my tobacco juice and just drop dead.
Wow.
That would be horrible.
Postmodern interpretation.
Well, listen, if I'm nothing if not postmodern. So welcome back. Welcome back. Now, last time we talked to you was, I think, either right when the world had closed down or just before that, and you had just started this Crust Fund Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
And so for those who aren't familiar, what is Crust Fund Pizza, and why have you not been cracked down on by the authorities?
Well, Crust Fund Pizza is where I, a stranger, sells pizza to other strangers in an alley at night. And that's my best sales pitch for it, guys.
It sounds fantastic. Just your elevator pitch is nothing if not terrifying and quite interesting.
I work on that. And the 1,000-yard stare and the crust and the dough.
Yeah, you've become, like, if you don't follow John on Twitter and Instagram, you must, because UT Chicago is where you can follow him. And if you follow him, Cody, do you even go on it? Cody doesn't go on any social media anymore, John.
No, I was actually gonna compliment John. I think John, you're one of the best people I follow on Twitter. But I can't look at your Instagram. Even just seeing your face makes me need a pepperoni pizza, like on a visceral level. It's too much. I would literally eat every time you post one. I would just order a pepperoni pizza.
It's very Pavlovian. That old experiment where Pavlov fed dogs pizza constantly until they only wanted it.
I remember that.
And that was weird. He faced a lot of backlash for that from the animal rights people, even back then.
Oh, pizza's not good for dogs.
It's not? Then why do you promote it so heavily on your social media channels?
Well, this is my unique selling point, as opposed to, say, Papa John's. I sell pizza for people.
Yes, you do. And this is it is people only. And I think there's a disclaimer. The deal is, and John is joking about this, you kind of sell them, but the money doesn't go to you as a money-grubbing pizza man. The money goes to a different charity every month that you have picked out, a local Chicago charity. And as we talk about in a few minutes, as we talk about Pizza for Everyone, the proceeds from this book, in order to get one, you need, as the purchaser, there's a list of local charities. You pick who you want to donate to. You make a $35 or more donation to the charity that you picked. And then with your order, you send in a screenshot of your donation. So what made you such a selfless human being, John? Because when I knew you before, you kind of embraced capitalism a little bit.
Oh no, I was and am still terrible. But yes, Crust Fund, just to put the nuts and bolts out there, I sell pizzas through this donation component through my Instagram, and it goes to different great Chicago nonprofits. The way this started was last summer. I know we're through the pandemic and perhaps with saner people at the helm, but last summer was, I don't know, a napalm fire in a 7-Eleven. I was going to put a point on it. It's easy to feel frustrated. It's easy to feel helpless about how terrible things are. And my exact thought was, well, all I've been doing is making pizza for 6 months. Like, I can't change or help anything. But kind of a cop-out. I, through my work at Revolution Brewing, had contacts with a bunch of great local nonprofits. And I figured, well, I know they can do the work. If I do the pizza and make people pay them, then it's kind of like I'm helping with the work, but I'm not. And people have just stepped up. They've given a lot of money for pizza. They've been incredibly selfless. They've stayed engaged with these great Chicago organizations. So that's my end of it. Literally everyone does more than me, but I am happy to make the pizza end happen.
Well, you were one of the founders of Mambecue. You guys had 2 or 3 cookbooks, and you cooked all kinds of stuff. You've done pop-ups before. What brought the turn to pizza because you've embraced it wholeheartedly. And as Cody said, man, every one of your pizzas looks phenomenal.
Yeah, thanks. Part of that was just an effect of an obsessive personality and isolation combining in a once in a several generation concoction. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. I thought, let's make pizza once a week for the kids and watch a movie, and then that'll help me mark time like a prisoner scratching hash marks into a cinder block. And then, by the end, we had this whole cool pizza pop up in this community in this book, just like a non-gross version of when they threw the Marquis de Sade in prison, and he wrote a whole book on bed sheets with unmentionable substances.
Wow. I'm not sure the analogy is the best one for a lovely book about pizza, but I get the concept.
We need more Marquis de Sade references on this show. I've been saying that for years.
Yeah, don't let your kids major in English, people out there.
So, all right. So this started, and I see the bids. The bids are unbelievably generous from people who want to get these pizzas, and it doesn't usually take you very long to get them. It's like, hey, here are the pizzas for this week. Oh, hey, they're gone, which is great. So that's. Was it just? I mean, everybody was feeling down. Did you get the feeling from these people who were coming to get these pizzas that it was, this, like you said, it was your way to help? And because a lot of us felt really out of control and like there was no way we could do anything, that now this was a way, not only are they helping, but then they get a tasty tavern cut pizza on the way home.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually people who are in my Venn diagram of pizza obsessives and like people who read way too much news. Like if you look at the places that we support with Crust Fund, it draws basically a line around the city of Chicago. And it usually hits either local journalism or social justice. I mean, that's cool to put out there. That became sort of a dirty word for everyone's uncle forwarding them emails, but social justice is a very important part of how we maintain and improve equality in Chicago and elsewhere. And that's what we do with Crust Fund. And if you don't like it, like I said, Papa John's makes food for dogs that you can order as a human.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's very easy.
I lived 4 doors down from a Papa John's for 3 years, and I never once frequented that establishment. I walk by it like every day. It's the worst.
I mean, not a big drinker, I'm guessing.
Not big enough. And that was before weed was legal. So, no excuses. No excuses.
How did you pick the nonprofits that you would change with the pizza? It changes every month. With the book, there was a list which were some of the ones that had benefited throughout the program. How did you decide which ones to go with?
Well, some like, My Block, My Hood, My City, Connections for Abused Women and Their Children are people that groups that I've worked with at Revolution Brewing, because I help with the charitable giving program over there. Cool. But honestly, can I swear? Is this a swearing thing?
Of course.
All right. Sometimes you just have a particularly bad day watching the news and you say, oh, fuck that. And you say, hey, who has the organization that's anti that? And like, that's
Well, it worked out. All right. So we'll talk a little pizza after, but let's talk about the book for a minute, because as people can read, if you go to nachosandlager.com, you can get this fine book. We talked about it last week, but I didn't have the book yet. Pizza for Everyone. How did this come about, and why? It's got a very nostalgic, very throwback kind of feel to it. It looks the way a lot of people will remember certain books from their past. What brought this about? How'd you put it together, and why this design? And please make sure that you plug the fantastic designer of this book.
Sure. So not to have, now that I've already framed up everything as I was grumpy and I hated everything and I was isolated, like this is really the warm fuzzies of this whole pizza experience. Like you said, it really hits that retro church cookbook thing. And that's because I come from a family who put out a lot of big retro church cookbooks for family reunions, for their churches, for their booster clubs. And I don't know, this started coming about last fall. So we were still a little pre-vaccine, still a little isolated, but kind of looking toward what would happen. I was and still am selling out pizza in less than 10 minutes. So I figured, like, how can we scale this just a little bit more and do something big with everybody? So I was like, hey, like, I have a stack of these. Not only do I have my family ones, like, I would just buy these at any yard sale just to flip through once. Like, it is worth it to me to hit these retro cookbooks up. And I said, hey, I bet we could do that. Like, no one does that anymore. I had even, and I'm not slagging anyone here, but I had seen some of these, I had seen a couple of publications out of, I think it was like New York arts kind of community. Like, we're doing like an old fashioned community cookbook, and then it would arrive like perfectly bound and glossy with professional photographs. And like, not that any Chicagoan needs to call horse shit on New York one more time for the rest of the existence, but I was like, hey, wait, like, what if someone did the actual thing? So I called up a buddy of mine, Zach Sherwood. He's a designer at Morningstar. We were old colleagues. He is one of the best, just typography people and designers I know, and pitched him on, and this sounds terrible as I'm thinking it back in my head. How would you like to put several hours in for several dozen hours in for free for something that none of us will see money for? And he was way down because he's slightly deranged, but in that quality people kind of way.
Yeah, that sounds all right.
So after that, I started doing, I make okay pizza. The one thing I'm really good at is bothering other people. And that's what I did. I bothered a lot of people, and Chicago's pizza community, the writing community really stepped up, the art community. We've got all sorts of cool stuff in here, and I absolutely have had nothing to say about this since the books came out, but thank you to the people who contributed, to Zach first and foremost, to the places that allowed themselves to be pickup locations. It's been a real, people overuse labor of love, but I mean, this book is pure warm fuzzies here. This is the lost Care Bear emotionally for a lot of, what's in here.
It is really great because while there are a ton of great recipes, and Debbie and I were looking through it the other day, and we're like, okay, now we got to start making pizzas. The essays are great, and some are debating, there's, hey, this is a deep dish pizza is great. And then, no, deep dish pizza is awful. And you wrote one about the New York slice, which I happen to enjoy. I don't mind a New York slice.
I love a good New York pizza. I started making New York pizza. I mean, it was, the rivalry is imagined. Pizza is for everyone.
It is. Pizza is for everyone. And I mentioned this last week. I was so honored and surprised when you asked me to be part of it. And then, of course, I went into a huge panic. What am I going to write about? So if you turn to page 150, you can read my little contribution to the book, which is, I'll tell you what, Molly thought it was, a pretty big deal.
Oh, it was wonderful.
You're in a book? Not my writing, just that I was in there. She had no comments on the story.
This is a personal essay, Brian. You replaced the misogyny in 70s and Bukowski with pizza, and that's you.
It was, well, labor of love, if I can reuse your hackneyed phrase. That would be fantastic. But no, it was great. And, the first batch, people knew that this was coming. So when you said, hey, they're here, I'm opening up, then you had to stop for a minute and say, hold on, I'm going to stop taking orders for a few days, but now it's back up. Now people can go back to nachosandlager.com, correct?
Almost. Later this week. I am still counting books. It is getting there. I had over 200 orders from Tuesday to Friday. It was absolutely wild. I was going out the door on Friday and literally just said, okay, I got to turn this form off and give myself some time to breathe.
Yeah, it's crazy. So keep watching. If you like pizza and you like helping people, it's a great combination of two different things. Cody likes pizza, but he hates helping people. That's why he has not picked one up yet.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make him, if he doesn't get one himself, I'm going to force him to listen to me give a dramatic reading of my essay at some point.
I would be here for that anyway. Don't punish Cody with it.
I'll start out with one of yours, John. How many did you put in this book? Because there's a number of them.
Too many. No one needs my stuff. I'm just the space filler.
No, you're the writer guy.
I am the retainer. I am the retainer spacers of this book.
What's it? There's a couple really unusual recipes in as you were going through this, because a lot of pizza purists, it's red sauce, sausage. Cody's all about pepperoni. That's it. But there's some pizzas in here, especially one recipe that had to be translated, that are really, really cool. What's the translated one?
That is one of my favorite. Old friend of mine, Ryan Patterson, used to be the night editor for the Daily Cambodia. They live over here now, he and his wife and his family. And his mother-in-law is Cambodian. She survived the Khmer Rouge. She has lived 10 lifetimes in the time she got here. And now she's here in Chicago in Rogers Park. Proud Rogers Parker, proud citizen, proud voter. And what she does is make fermented Thai chili paste, and not Thai chili paste, Cambodian chili paste. And it is the absolute thing for pizza if you like spice. I remember, I think it was probably 5 years ago after I had my first kid, around the time that she was, bottling this up and doing this. She just makes little batches from what she can grow in her garden. And came over with just a little, it was like an old mustard jar, cleaned out and just packed to the brim with this stuff. And it's that perfect level of spice where you briefly see the face of God. But it's not, it does, then you're like, oh, it's fruity and it's clear and it's like delicious, but also it kind of hurts. But it's great with like a rich cheese or a big piece of sausage or a cold, clear beer. Like, it is the absolute thing. And when I was putting this book together, he was one of the first people I asked, because he's not a food writer or a cook by trade. But I'm like, I know your mother-in-law's got the goods. We got to get her in on this, because like, if she is amenable to sharing in the slightest, like, we will do all the work to make sure we can do that. And, adding that Khmer thing, like, speaks to who she is and where this recipe came from. And I'm not going to take any credit, but I've never seen a Khmer translated recipe side by side in another American pizza book.
That's it. Well, listen, there you got to have another unique thing. The book, of course, boy, I feel like some sort of bad talk show host. It's Pizza for Everyone. It's by John Carruthers. It was designed and illustrated by Zach Sherwood. If later this week, but start checking back tomorrow, because you never know. John is, I got to tell you, you're a little sneaky with hey, one day you're not taking orders. Oh, suddenly I'm taking orders, and then they'll be gone. So keep checking back at nachosandlager.com to order this book. There's a great list of nonprofits that you can choose to make your donation to. They will be happy. You'll get the book. You'll be happy. I have to tell you this too. I picked it up at a place I chose because you give a list of places. One is just a random corner. I didn't feel safe with that pickup location. I got to be honest with you. Just like stop your car, honk. I don't know what there was a random corner. Oh, just on the street.
Yeah, no, it's by the United Center parking lot. I also sell unlicensed Bulls 92 Champions t-shirts out. It's totally legit.
Oh, if I had known that, I would have swung by.
Yeah.
But I picked mine up at Mars Brewing, and I had never been there before. Holy cow, I can't wait to go back. It was phenomenal. Cody, you got to go.
Wonderful beer just on South Iron Street in Bridgeport. I mean, that's a true Southside place.
Oh,
that
man.
Place gets cred.
And you don't know, you would never guess that it was there. And if you did find it, you would never guess that the inside was as cool as it is and that the beer is as good as it is. And then the food, stop it. They've got, it's like an Asian-inspired kitchen that's only Friday, Saturday, Sunday. One of their burgers was written up as one of the top burgers in the city in the Tribune. I can say that burger is deserving of that spot. But it was, so not only did I get to pick up the book, I got to try a new place. Cody, we got to get you out of the suburbs, man. You left the city for the suburbs and now you just stay home. He uses the baby, John. You know how it is. He uses the baby as an excuse.
It's good. Cody, I only use my baby so I don't have to see friends' bands or help them move.
Oh, see, that's smart. Look, dude, Brian, you're already on me about going to that brewery in the North Burbs that John had kept a secret from us for many years, which you discovered like a month ago. Maybe
John hasn't been there. Have you ever been to Liquid Love?
No, where is it?
Dude, it's in Buffalo Grove. We went up to play mini golf at Par King Adventure Golf for Debbie's birthday. Well, that was, it's like this place has been there since the 50s, and it's the most nostalgic mini golf place I've ever seen. Not quite on the level of Holy Moly on ABC, but pretty good. And great. So I looked up breweries near parking, and this Liquid Love came up, and it's just a little tap room, again, like all good tap rooms in an industrial park. And they had one of the best milk stouts I have ever had.
I gotta tell you, as someone who, like, when a brewery was in my neighborhood in 2008, you know, like when Half Acre opened up, or 2007, to go from like, oh, this is actually made here at any bar or tap room, and like that being a super novelty, to not being able to keep track of all the breweries is like the most satisfying thing in the world. Like, I am so happy that all these like tap room centric places have survived the pandemic. I am excited that they keep opening more local breweries. Let's do it.
Yeah, and it seems like that's like we've been talking about this for years, because you and Jesse Valenciana, for people who may be new to this, you guys joined us all the time on the other station for At the Breweries, which was great. The other station, on GN, which is why Roger has a beer question for you in a minute. Our good friend Roger. But we've talked about this forever. It would seem like at some point we've hit maximum brewery density, but that's not the point. It just keeps happening. And they're, some are very tiny, like the Liquid Love was very small, but man, the beer they were putting out was fantastic.
Yeah. Brewing has got so much more scientific, since the 90s, and it's great. There is, I think, a capacity for even a lot more, because not everyone's trying to get to the size of,
Revolution
or, what am I thinking of from up north? Very nice.
Ding, ding, ding.
Spotted Cow.
New Glarus.
Thank you. New Glarus or Bell's. Like, that's not what everyone's shooting for. You want to be like, tavern owner used to open a neighborhood tavern. Now you can be a brewer, open your neighborhood brewery, and give or take a global emergency, it can really work if you have the right people in.
Yeah. Cody, you're being very quiet. Are you just dreaming of beers?
No, I was going to tie everything back around in a perfect knot. So regarding going to breweries in Chicago, look, I'm not going to Bridgeport, but I am actually going to go to Revolution, I think, this weekend. And the reason is, which also goes back to why I haven't ordered any pizzas yet. You got to keep checking the website to get the pizzas. I'm so bad at checking things that I've had on my calendar for a month and a half today's release of Revolution's Summer Deepwood series. And yet somehow time ticked by until it was noon, until I finally looked at my calendar and said, I should probably try and get me some of that VSOJ, which I desperately want. Sold out immediately. So that is why I'm going to the tap room, and hopefully this weekend, maybe Brian, you could accompany me, but
yes,
I can't wait for that.
I sent Cody a text to say, hey, I'm going to talk to John. How about we talk to John about the book? What happened? What did I miss?
15 minutes it's sold out.
50 minutes, which is a pretty good run for a beer of that.
Yeah.
It's, it's 2 to 5 year barrels. Like, we don't exactly have, like a separate warehouse for that stuff. So this is a long time coming beer.
Man. Yeah. It's, what was it? A couple of years ago, because Rev does this every summer. They bring out the heavy beers, because you're saying it doesn't matter what season it is, let's do it. And I know we were all there a couple of years ago, and so I was talking to Cody about you coming to join us tonight, and I said, hey, Friday, they're doing this release at the tap room. They're going to have everything there. You want to go? And that's when he realized he had missed his appointment. But gives us an excuse to go there in person.
It does. I got to say though too, I've been totally obsessed with Revolution Steepwood thing. I found a guy on Reddit to get me a can of Thundertaker. Just some random dude that happened to have an extra can, and he didn't even charge me for it. He literally said, I don't want to make, he made me pay like the $8 or whatever it would have broken out to, but he said, I'm not selling this for a profit. I just had a couple, and it's not my favorite of the Deepwood, so I'll sell you a can. So he sold it to me at cost.
Wow, but I'm conflicted because he's a philanthropist with bad opinions. Kidding.
Well, I'm like 40 minutes away from the tap room, and I've driven in like 3 times for some of those releases. I got some Strawberry Jacket when you re-released some of that. Oh my
Coming out
God.
this weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a
I might
medal
get-
winner, that one.
Is it
All right,
really?
so
Mhm.
for those who don't know, what's the VSOJ? You mentioned it was 2 and 5 year barrel age stuff.
So we
nice
have-
high alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, everything barrel aged is generally high alcohol to keep any bugs or critters from spoiling the beer. Sitting for a long time in wood. But VSOJ, we have a barley wine called Straitjacket, which is named after a song, more or less, and it's a 1 year aged barley wine, an English barley wine. So you get a lot of those toffee kind of malt sugar flavors to it. VSOJ is very special old jacket, and these barrels are 2 to 3 years old, or they were when we released it in 2018. For this new one, these barrels are up to 5 years old. There are 2, 3, 4, and 5 year barrels. It's a blend, and it is wild.
Nice.
As Cody said, like, we made as much of this beer as we could. You got to pay rent on the barrel space, which is why these beers cost what they do. We made as much as we could. Still sold out in less than an hour, and it's going to be fun. It'll be available on tap at the tap room and the brew pub this weekend. So everyone who wants to try it, not just get the can,
Yes.
you can get it still, but it's going to be a party. This is our first in-person release since January 2020. And
I can't imagine.
which January 2020, did you know this?
No.
It was 4 years ago.
It was.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah. So we are going to throw a party along with the beer release, and it is going to be exceptionally fun to see you guys.
Yes, I can't wait. We Debbie and I were there. It's been so nice to be able to go back out to tap rooms. We were at Rev a couple weeks ago. I was on a fact-finding mission. And that's what I called it. It took a long
thought you were
time to
looking
find
for
those
God.
facts.
I
I
thought you were
was
looking
looking
for
for
God.
God. I
Okay.
thought he was hiding in the bottom of some glasses. Turns out he was not. The devil was hiding down there. But whatever. I get along with both equally fine. So it's got to be for you guys to have found. Now, what was it, like a month ago that you were able to open the tap room and the brew pub again?
Yeah, something like that. And by the way, I have it on good authority that God hides in a pizza box. But yes, when we were,
You know why that is? Because pizza is for everyone. Everyone.
that's good.
in there.
Opening up the brew pub and the tap room has been fantastic. The brew pub was especially hard to close, for the winter, just due to restrictions and staffing and everything, and just to keep people safe. And that's where Revolution started in 2010. That's the heart and soul. And we might sell and make almost all the beer out of the Kedzie tap room, but get a kick in the heart and soul, you're gonna feel it.
Yeah.
So it's been nice to have people back. It's been nice to see our regulars. Like, we have regulars again, which is fantastic. And honestly, we had been going back in since some of us were vaccinated, and I would walk up through the parking lot. Just bear with me here. The parking lot, you have to walk through the tap room to get up to the offices.
Right.
That's all you need to know. And I had been walking up from the parking lot, tap room, offices, for a few weeks. And one day, I came in mid-afternoon after running some kind of brewery errand, and I stopped in the tap room. I'm like, what the hell is that? And it was the murmur of people in a tap room. And I had no idea that I had been missing this sense memory for so long, but it hit me right over the head. And it was like this great moment. And I was like, yeah, right. This is a place of business. All right.
Yeah, and it's a place of business. It's also a gathering place. When we were in there a couple weeks ago, there was, one family with some kids. There were all different kinds of groups. There were people just sitting at the bar who you could tell had sat at that bar before, and it was just and I'm finding that no matter where I go, it's nice. Obviously, from a business end, it's one feeling, but from a consumer end, it's another feeling where it's like, oh, this is what I missed about being closed up, because I was still able to do curbside pickup from Revolution and everybody else. I was still able to get the beers that I wanted, but as fun as it is to drink on the deck, sometimes it's nice to sit in a tap room or a brew pub and get something to eat and a couple of beers and just relax and, experience something a little bit different.
Yeah, having a beer and sharing a beer are two different vibes, and we were all missing the latter, I think, for a long time.
All right,
I'm still hanging on to some of the Deepwood beers that I got over the winter to share with Brian. I've got one of the Bourbon County stouts that neither of us had, and I've got like Thundertaker. I've got a few other ones that are just hanging out. Just read it. Brian and I are gonna get wrecked. It's gonna be great.
Well, I'm going to invite you too, John, if you want to just sit out wherever we're going to, finally, now that we can all get back together and sit.
Yeah.
And,
I would love to see either one of you guys try to fight a police horse. I haven't seen that yet.
Well, I have watched Blazing Saddles quite a few times, so I know just the weak spot on the jaw. I could take one out. What was that? All right. So Roger has some sort of a beer question.
Yes.
It's but now he said, after you talk pizza, can I ask John about that beer I loved but have forgotten the name? And then he has disappeared. Now he's talking about Patty Melts at Denny's. So Roger said, here it was. Okay, here we go, John. This is, and I think this was probably 3 to 4 years ago. You guys came in one night.
Well, pre-pandemic, 9 years ago at least.
Oh yeah, that's true. It was 07. It was a dark, and this is a quote from Roger. It was a dark beer, but wasn't heavy. Had a slight root beer taste. No bitter aftertaste on the back of the tongue. Smooth. That's my best memory of it.
I almost think he's talking about Death Star, the bourbon barrel-aged oatmeal stout. It's got, I mean, I wouldn't.
Well, he said it wasn't heavy, though. Death Star's pretty... Right? I mean, I love Death Star like a lot.
People associate heaviness with bitterness too, so I'm wondering.
Okay.
The problem is with at the breweries, we used to bring in other breweries' beer so that we weren't self-promoting. So it's like there is this. Oh man, Roger, I'm gonna go through the old emails because Jesse and I used to nerd out over this stuff over Gmail beforehand. I promise we'll get you back on this one.
Yeah, because it was you guys would do styles.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we would always talk about Rev or Goose at that point, but yeah, it was always styles. So my mom is still drinking that Summerly from one of your appearances.
Remains a good one too.
Oh my God. She can't get enough of it. She told me the other day, she's like, listen, before August, you got to get me a couple cases. So, cause I don't want to run out too soon after the summer.
And I assume that she's been getting you that ramen beer.
Oh God.
I still use that ramen beer as a story for possible assaults on people. It is, that was
on me.
Well, quite frankly, you deserved it. Let's be honest.
I didn't brew it.
I know you
drink
didn't.
it on the air and then react in real time with a 7-second delay.
The reaction was legit. All right, so Roger, we're gonna start working on that. Oh, it was from a can, not from one of those bigger bottles. All right.
Now
it's narrowing it down.
It does narrow it down.
It narrows it down a little.
Now hold on. Roger said after we're done talking about the pizza. I don't think we're done talking about the pizza.
No, we're never done talking about pizza, and never done talking about pizza for everyone.
I don't really think it's gas and brakes to go from pizza to beer. I think we're just running out.
Yeah, it all goes together. It merges perfectly. Why tavern? Oh, go ahead, Cody.
My question, yeah, John. Like I said, I love your Instagram. I noticed a lot of what appear to be just pepperoni pizzas, which is my go-to pizza. I was telling Brian this the last couple of weeks. I've been looking for a good pizza joint to, just to be my go-to. And so many places I look at on the menu, every pizza they've got has like 9 ingredients. It's always got to have like pepperoni and sausage and ham and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, dude, whatever happened to the original pepperoni pizza? So what's your philosophy on keeping it simple? And like, how often do you just do that versus throwing a bunch of stuff on there?
I keep the same menu month to month. And it's always sausage that I make, pepperoni, cheese, vegan, giardiniera, but then one special. So there's one pizza with a lot of stuff on it. And that's like, you get to play around, but like, you got to offer the classics. In fact, I have it's going to be 1 year anniversary of Crust Fun Pizza in August. I have finally settled on one pepperoni. I have been playing around for almost a year with it.
Now I saw, is that the cup and char that you used? Now, is that a style or is that the way it cooks?
It's just kind of the way it cooks. I had been using Bridgeford pepperoni, which I know is at least partially produced locally, and that's more of the classic flat-laying pepperoni. I have really grown to love the way that you get a little char on the edge with a natural casing pepperoni. And I don't know, I mean, they don't sponsor me or anything. This is just institutional knowledge I'm passing on. Vermont Smoked has some of the best pepperoni I've ever had, and anyone can order it. A lot of these specialty pepperonis are food service items only, or they're specialty deli items. So you can't just go buy them as a person who wants to make pizza in your kitchen. Vermont Smoked, I think you can buy through Amazon. So have at it. It is fantastic stuff. And I think it's the pepperoni pizza going forward. But yes, I love, sorry, Cody, to your question, I love screwing around with different toppings and making like a Philly roast pork pizza or an Oktoberfest pizza. But like, I have never not offered the classics because you got to offer the classics.
Sweet. Love it.
And why Tavern Cut, other than the fact that you are a Chicagoan and it is the quintessential Chicago pizza?
Sure.
Or the tavern style, rather.
Growing up eating it. But another part of it is if you want to really nerd out on the history and all this stuff, Tavern Cut pizza is kind of a value add thing. So you're not looking for like the best equipment in the world, the most artisan techniques and preparations. You are trying to hit the same spot that, you know, a 1950s or 60s tavern owner serving ex-GIs who had learned about this stuff in Italy on a square as they're getting loaded after their factory jobs before they go home. Like, this is a very utilitarian pizza that nonetheless has survived as our municipal style because it's so delicious and balanced and compelling. You don't need an 800-degree oven. You don't need to burn wood. You don't need to handle it gently. This is a dough you roll out. This is a sauce you cook. This is, a cheese. It's a very specific cheese to the Midwest. It's full fat mozzarella, but it's low moisture. It's like deli mozzarella. It's not the watery balls. It's not the part skim stuff that gets the skin on it. It's something that we get from the bounty of the Great Lakes here. It's a very Chicago pizza in time and place, and you can make it in your kitchen as good as almost any tavern style place can with your own ingredients and your own techniques and your own equipment. I find that more inspiring than chasing after someone who has way more equipment and time than you'll ever have.
What's the secret for that good, thin, crackery crust?
So for me, I have found the most important thing is high gluten flour. And that's like something a little more high protein than bread flour. Okay. And this is something they list on the side of the bag. Like if you start making your own pizza and really getting geeky about it, you'll totally pick it up. The second is time for it to just, second thing, make it in a food processor and not a mixer because it whacks that thing so hard that like the yeast just pops up. It will pop the top off of your fermentation container if you leave it out at room temperature long enough. So you get that activity in there, and then you just let it ferment for up to a week. And the more it rises and falls, it's going to get a really cool striation where you get that good crisp crackery crust, but it's not gonna, it doesn't burn. This isn't like a burn thing. People hear you cut a tavern style like, oh, this feels like overcooked. It crunches, and I'm like, no, that's kind of the point.
It's supposed to. Man.
So yeah, it's just the most doable thing for everyone. And not to segue back into the book, but that is the thing I like. Yeah.
Pizza is for everyone. You can go to Nachos and Lager later this week. They will be back up for your order. Again, to order, you go to Nachos and Lager, and then you're going to pick one of the nonprofits. You're going to make a $35 or more donation to one of those nonprofits. You'll send the screenshot of your donation along with your order to Nachos and Lager, and then you get to pick where you want your book picked up. So where it should get... Oh,
new thing. If I run out of these...
What?
I just got a Kickstarter approved. People will be able to order via Kickstarter. Whatever.
Nice. What?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Wow, Cody.
Congrats.
No
That's
more
awesome.
excuses, Cody.
Yeah, dude, I'm down. Like I said, I've been sold since every image I see. It's mouth watering. Like they legit. Yeah, it's a feast for the eyes.
So now you started making this for the kids every Friday. Have they been good critics? Have they been helping with the recipe development, or are they just like, where's our pizza?
Oh no, they love it. They look forward to it because this is also like the first time we ever let them eat dinner with like a movie playing, like pizza and a movie. And like that was also a revolutionary concept. So I was kind of drifting off of that too. But no, they still love the pizza. They want either cheese or pineapple. every week. They got their favorites. And yeah, sometimes they help and they like to like get involved. And that's always the fun part.
Yeah, that's cool.
If you go to my Instagram, there's an Instagram story on there where you click on it and my son is just doing the final Parmesan thing. And he goes like this. And I was like, ooh, there's a real Cat Stevens moment for me.
He got it. He's my son. That is really my son. Not that there had been any question prior to that, but it's nice to have those kind of things that really put the message home. Yeah. What are you drinking, Cody? Got something in a he's got a koozie.
You're so no fancy. Comment. No comment.
Oh, no comment.
It's just a Kolsch, some random.
Is it your Milwaukee's or the what was your Natter Day?
No,
that's a pink can. I would have noticed that. And that's
not
beer. No, I'm for everyone. 21 plus only.
No, I've been my summer beer. I've been oscillating between Shock Top, which like no one ever thinks of Shock Top.
So you're the guy.
I know, right? No, we had a barbecue, and my wife comes home with like a 12-pack of Shock Top. I'm like, wow, I haven't thought about this beer ever. I like Belgian white, so it was good. But
because you're racist.
I mean, I don't know how many. Are there other Belgians? I don't really know. But
Allagash.
I meant white Belgian people in general. But yeah, no, I got Allagash in my fridge too. No, my go-to Kolsch is the Goose Island Summertime. It's pretty good. So
yeah, might I suggest Ghost Ride?
Not in cans anymore. He's completely
Why not?
Sprites.
Yeah. What happened?
People don't necessarily buy every style.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Because it's on tap in the tap room.
I have looked for Ghost Ride.
That is a fresh batch, Brian.
Yeah, I just had one a couple of weeks ago. I was like, oh, that's good.
No, I drink in a bars, but yeah, I hadn't seen the cans for a while. So I was like, all right, let's go with this.
Right. Listen, you got to keep up on things. So what? All right. As a man who does the hype for a revolution, we're always asking you beer questions. What is we've gone through the sour. The sours don't seem to be going anywhere. The hazy IPAs don't seem to be going anywhere. What's coming up next? Is there a style that you see that you go, oh, this might be one that takes over, or is there a classic that may be making a comeback?
It's hard to say. We have been putting out more classics that are getting a little more traction. We've got Riot, which is the Czech style pills, like the
really good
pills.
I had it the other day, Cody. You got to come down.
Preview. We have got our Working Man Mild coming back later this year. That's like an English mild ale, like a lunchtime beer. Like low ABV. It's hard. People are liking sort of some of the lower ABV stuff, and I don't know how much of that is, trying to compete with seltzer or whatever. But innovation has probably slowed down a little bit just with most of these breweries taking survival mode. So it's hard to say now, but it's going to be exciting when we see what's next.
Yeah, it's maybe the low ABVs, like you said, they're competing with the seltzers, but maybe too because a lot of people were drinking a little bit, a lot more. Studies, all the numbers coming out over the pandemic, people were drinking a lot more. So maybe they're
not at bars and restaurants. And that's a lot of beer.
Unfortunately, they were at home, but maybe they were going to curbside. And
we our seltzer, or not seltzer, geez, the Freedom, the Session Sours, that has been a huge area of growth for us. We've got that variety pack out.
Yep.
Doing very well, especially with like wine drinkers and people who don't necessarily reach for beer. And it's gone so well that we have had some of those small batch things in the bigger 16-ounce cans. We've been able to try different fruits and combinations with the sour base. The one that's out now is a watermelon mint sour that it might take you a second to get around the combination. It is the most refreshing beer I have had from us. And again, I drink them all, so I don't really have to pick any favorites.
Right. Debbie loves the freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
That's an older one though. Was that one of the first ones?
That was the first sour we put in cans. So now Freedom of Speech is in 6-packs. It's also in the variety pack with Press, which is blackcurrant, Expression, which is strawberry rhubarb, and Assembly, which is blueberry ginger. And the blueberry ginger is another one of those where it didn't occur to us as a combination until we tried it, and then it was like, ooh, man.
Wow. Yeah, I know Debbie loves the sours. Millions of people love the sours.
My wife, yeah, she's big into it. Earlier you said pizza and beer go together. I get too full immediately if I have pizza and beer. I opt for soft drinks. So is there a particular beer you think pairs well with pizza, or just kind of like keep it light in general?
I mean, I like Kolsch myself. You're pretty close on right there. But with a beer, if and pizza, if you have it depends on the kind of pizza. If you got like a Neapolitan style pizza with just like real light and bready things, like a Pilsner is great. A Kolsch is great with like that kind of New York slice. If you got a tavern style with that cooked sauce, maybe you got like a little dark ale or a brown ale, just to get some of the cooked grain and cooked grain resonances going. It's hard to pick a bad one. We were testing variants for this Friday's release, and we got this coffee barrel aged beer, like a double barreled. It's literally 17.2% and a little pour of it.
17.
Yeah, it's a draft only. It's small pours.
It's draft only.
But the way this came around, it was literally, I had a busy day and was literally just tucking into like the fastest lukewarm Burger King I could get before I could get back to my desk and back to email. So I'm like, just got this plate full of sad burger, like the paper wrapper full of sad Burger King in front of me, and he brings this like amazing beer that took 4 years to make, like with all this freshly roasted local coffee and like Whopper fries, like just disgusting. And then like this incredibly like curated beer, and I'm like, sometimes I feel like there is no bad beer pairing.
Yeah. I'm with you, John. I can't find an issue. I'll try whatever's around. Like I'll stay away maybe from a big stout if I'm eating pizza, but that's not because I don't like the big stout. It's just because I'm like, oh, well, look, I have some Pilsners or some lagers or something in the refrigerator, and we'll go from there.
I mean, and honestly, the way import breweries have been doing, like, it's not the whole thing, but I think part of it, especially like Modelo, and between Modelo and Negro Modelo, like, man, find me a food you can't have with that. Those beers are perfect for almost anything.
Yeah, they definitely
I'm a craft guy, but like, I got taste buds.
Yeah. Modelo Negro is phenomenal. It's just, man. What are you drinking this summer? Other than all the fine offerings from Revolution, where people should come this weekend for the big VSOJ tappings, either at the tap room or the brew pub. Go to revbrewing.com to get all of the information.
Smooth.
I still got it.
So obviously, I don't need to do this because I did this every time on GN, but like Dovetail has the beer, whatever classic style you need. Pilsner, Kolsch. They got a Baltic Porter now. It's fine. Like, we've talked about this.
Their Helles Lager is phenomenal.
I want to give love to Maplewood, who people know for like their hazy IPAs, and their barrel aged stuff, but their Pilsners and lagers are just incredible. They make beautiful stuff that is just the thing that is the background to any good time. And I highly encourage anyone who's already into Maplewood for they're more popular or they're harder to get stuff. Like, man, check out their classic styles. They are not joking around. And same thing with the Charlatan Pale Ale. Like, if you're more of a hop person, like, that is just one of the most perfect examples of the style. We've also got Ravinia moved into the old Ale Syndicate space just down the road from Maplewood, and they make some beautiful beer, and it's very exciting to have them in Chicago. I mean, I know Highland Park's not far, but, it's like you have a friend in Highland Park, and you're like, oh, no, it'll be the same. You will see all the time.
No, you won't.
See him a couple times.
Right. Yeah. No, it's like moving out to the western suburbs, right, Cody? Oh, yeah, we'll see you all the time.
And then this time of year, sometimes, those like light expressive Belgian styles where it's very yeast driven, or, it's not very hoppy, but they're very light kind of expressive beers. Like Low Res Brewing in Pilsen mostly does Belgian styles, and then everything from wild age to doubles to like the Belgian style sours. And maybe it's just like those days of 100-degree heat we have, and I'm like, these beers are absolutely perfect. It's like they knew what the weather forecast was going to be like a month ago.
Problem is they go down way too easy when it's that hot. It's like, ooh, they're gone. What happened there?
I know, but you can call a car from your phone now. We live in the
That's
Jetsons.
true. Oh, I'm not. Yeah, listen, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, sometimes all of a sudden, you're a 12-pack in and you go, I just started 12 minutes ago. That doesn't seem right. Doesn't seem right at all. What was I going to? Oh, there was something else I was going to ask you. No, I can't. So, Cody, you'll have to ask a question while I remember.
You're going to ask about Blue Moon Mango Twist.
I was not.
No, someone brought that to a party and it was not a hit. Let's just put it there.
Oh, I thought you were reading that off a banner ad or something.
No, I love
Our new
Blue Moon.
sponsors.
Who doesn't love a Blue Moon? But apparently they have some weird fruit twist, and it was suspect. So maybe be cautious of that one. But
it's very hard when you're going to a party, if you're somebody who enjoys all different kinds of beer, to go to a party where the people will not, and I'm not a beer snob by any stretch of the imagination. The other day at Rogers, I was drinking Old Style, and I couldn't have been happier. It was like a taste of my youth, because that was the first beer I ever had was Old Style. So I'm not like, snooty. But sometimes you want to bring something that's a little different, and then you get to a party and everybody turns up their nose like, oh, you couldn't have just brought Coors Light? Well, yeah, I could have, but this is really good, and it's easily accessible. Should we shame people who bring bad beer to a party, John? That's the question for you.
Well, we shouldn't shame anyone for anything, but then again, it's like it's been legal in Illinois for almost 18 months now, so maybe my attitude has changed as I've gotten older.
Shaming?
This is where I thought Pipeworks Pilsner was clever. Pipeworks Pilsner is like a great, amazing craft brewery in Chicago that put out a can that looks craft, but it also kind of looks a little bit like, like a Hamm's label that didn't quite fit. Like, that's good. Like, if I got someone to reach for your beer or try something they wouldn't have, like, that's yes.
Well, it was funny because we went to Roger's house last week, and he had been, if you guys want something special, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, whatever you have is fine. And he had a bunch of different kinds of beer. And all of a sudden, there I saw Fully Croissant from the land of sky blue water. Or that was Hamm's. He had Hamm's, but the Old Style was in there.
I still love Old Style. Every time I go to Wrigley, it's a new challenge to try to find where the handles are every year. Like, it's easier to find in the bleachers. Yeah.
No, I love that was when I was right after I graduated from 8th grade, we had a big party at the house, and growing up in Chicago, Old Style was the only beer that was ever at any family party. And so the next day, my two buddies and I grabbed 6 of those Old Styles, and we pedaled away for
nice.
Parts unknown.
I went to college in the South, and I used to take, when they still sold them in 38 boxes. I remember because I worked at Jewel, 30 Old Styles for $9.99. I don't even think that was the sale price. That was just the price.
Just straight up.
And I used to take them and just stack them in my closet at college because, it's like I lived in a house with a bunch of other guys, and like people steal other people's beer.
Oh, yeah.
Those Southerners would not touch Old Style.
They wouldn't? Oh, they were all drinking Shiner Bock and Lone Star.
Shiner Bock? How young do you think I am? They were drinking Busch Light and Natty Light if it was not near payday.
All right. Well,
Busch Light was the fancy beer.
Okay.
Natty Light, you're trying to flex on somebody bring some Bud Light, but you were usually living off campus at that point because you had some money.
Yeah, when I was in, it was Lone Star was the cheap one, and Busch. So we drank a lot of Busch and a lot of Lone Star. Cody only drank cordials.
I still think Busch Light is one of the better light beers that anyone produces in America.
Is it really? I have never had a Busch Light.
Mm-hmm.
I was straight up Busch, because back then I wasn't worried about my girlish figure.
I don't know if I've had a straight up one in a while. Like, I still drink MGD sometimes, but
wow.
Yeah, Busch Light, solid beer.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law is quite into the champagne of beers.
The High Life.
Yeah.
So, like, listen, do me a favor. Whoever you interview in Chicago beer after me, for as long as you're doing this, ask them if they like High Life. And if they don't, they're a robot. We know that we've been infiltrated.
Yeah, High Life was the one, man. And I used to love the little pony packs, the little 8-ounce bottles.
Mm-hmm.
You get the 8-pack of those, the little Miller Killers. Bang, bang, bang.
Gosh, when I still worked downtown, there was a bar. It was one of those bars where you had to enter through an obnoxious restaurant and then like go down the stairs. And they used to have it was like you get an old fashioned and you'd get the pony of Old Style, and it was like ridiculously cheap for downtown.
It wasn't the Green Door, was it?
No, it wasn't Green Door. This was like Loop Loop. This wasn't like River North.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
John used to be a corporate drone, Cody, before he became the man behind Pizza for Everyone.
Oh, I'm still a corporate drone. How do you think I kept track of all the contributions in there, man? Spreadsheets.
Oh, there you go. We got to give Zach Sherwood another shout out. He is the illustrator and designer of Pizza for Everyone. Cody, John and I have spilled our guts about our, cheap beer days. Did you even drink beer in college?
No, I was gonna say, look, I'm not afraid to admit this because if you know how far I've come, right? Like I drink the Deep Woods, I drink a lot of good Revolution beers. I drink beer now, but back in college, Smirnoff Ice, Smirnoff Raspberry. Oh yeah, no, Halloween my sophomore year, I bought a 750 milliliter bottle of Peachtree Schnapps. And I made a couple fuzzy navels and then I just started pulling from the bottle. I finished that whole bottle. I finished a whole bottle of Peachtree Schnapps by myself. That's probably why I'm diabetic. I didn't get diagnosed 8 years later, but probably got diabetes from the whole bottle of Peachtree Schnapps I drank. I didn't know any better. I didn't know,
I mean, that's a real mesothelioma, you were a loved one kind of moment there.
Wow, that was some sort of confession there, Cody.
No kidding. He has a Steve McQueen moment, but it's just different and kind of sadder.
Worse, far less manly. Just very, it's fine.
I don't know if I've ever had a fuzzy navel, and it doesn't sound like something I would. No, I like a tropical drink, but I don't know. A fuzzy navel doesn't seem.
You know what I like about that though? Guys getting wrecked on fuzzy navels. He's not gonna punch anybody.
That's true.
It's nice to have people who want to get wrecked and just they don't want to cause any trouble. It's just like I want to sit here and I want to listen to a little Isley Brothers and
Air Supply and
a little Kenny Loggins attitude.
Yacht rock and fuzzy navels. That's Cody. That was Cody's major.
I still have a picture from that Halloween. It just pops up on my time hop once in a while of this extremely hot girl in a Hooters outfit, like Hooters costume for Halloween. Just totally into it. So I don't know. Maybe Peachtree Schnapps.
I would almost put my own money against the wager that no one drunk on Peachtree Schnapps has ever tried to take a swing at a bouncer on the way out. Like that's just, as a social scientist, my educated guess.
All right. I would back you on that. Now, Nick in the chat says Peachtree Schnapps sounds good. And Sally wants us to come to Iowa because Busch Light is the beer of Iowa.
Dude, I'll drink in Iowa. I'll drink in Iowa anytime because it is like, I went to a wedding in Iowa City a few years ago. It's like the tab came and it was like so laughable. There were like 8 of us. And I was like, this is like $20. We had like 4 pitchers. I'm good. This is good. I'll just pick this up. I'll drink in Iowa anytime.
All right. Well, John, we have kept you quite a bit, but you're welcome to stay. But I know you have a bit. You got the yeast and dough to hang on, and I don't want to keep you too. You can stay if you'd like, or I'm giving you the gracious out.
I'll take my leave because I think that I should leave pretty close to that mesothelioma joke because I don't think I'm going to get any better than that. But I very much appreciate it.
It was very good. Me. Well, let's do some plugs one more time. Let's look at this book. Look at this book, ladies and gentlemen. It is designed there. It is called Pizza for Everyone. John Carruthers put it together. There's great authors from the pizza world, from the writing world. Then John dipped into the radio world, and I don't know what must have needed to fill a couple pages. But
you and Mr. Van Osdol, we got some.
Well, that's right. James Van Osdol is in there. There's a lot of great people. Peter Frost, who defends deep dish pizza. I just happened to open to that random page. There it is. So it's recipes, it's essays, it's just a perfect book. It's going to remind you when you pick it up the tactile feeling of going back in time to a church basement or a family reunion and having, there's grandma's, tuna persimmon loaf, which sounds horrible. I don't even know how I came up with that combination. It's grandma's, so you had to put it in the book. How do we get this book? Well, we keep going to nachosandlager.com.
It'll be back up soon. Can I tell one final funny story?
You can do whatever you need to too.
Yeah. You're telling people that people are arguing for and against deep dish. So the big one against, everyone thinks, is this essay that I invited Peter Sagal from NPR to write. And Peter Sagal from NPR did write an essay in this book. Peter Sagal paid for that ad space just try to dunk on deep dish. That is a paid advertisement, like one of those rich guy
Really?
in the New York Times. And frankly, that just makes it even better for the entire experience.
Wow. See, let me ask you this, because I was thinking about this, and I don't know where Cody falls on the deep dish. I think when people from out of Chicago think of deep dish, they're mistaking it for stuffed, because they always describe it as a big casserole and I'm like, that's really a stuffed pizza, and stuffed pizza and deep dish are completely different forms of pizza. And it bothered me. And I only thought of this because we were down. This is the most touristy sentence you're ever going to hear me say. We were down at Navy Pier the other night because as part of my Father's Day, Debbie and Molly got me one of those late night fireworks cruises. So you go out on a boat and you watch the fireworks from the water. So that's really the only reason I would go to Navy Pier. Not that it's not great, but I'm not a tourist. I live here. But I saw people eating Giordano's, which is a fine stuffed pizza. I'm not a stuffed pizza fan, but they're the king of stuffed pizzas.
Yeah.
But it's completely different. And I think that's where all the hate seems to come from, and the confusion.
I agree, but no one's ever made headway by being more specific with New Yorkers, so I just leave it.
That's true. Yeah, they have one style, and it's fine. I'm not throwing shade.
Underwater.
Wow.
Too
Where
soon.
did that come from?
Too soon.
Where did that come from, Cody? That was wow,
Same.
harsh. All right, nachosandlager.com. Go there.
Yes, you'll get your pro, you'll get your cons. This book's got everything for you.
It's fantastic. You can also follow John. If you want to see some of these pictures, follow John on Twitter and Instagram at UT Chicago. Instagram is the same, or is Instagram Nachos and Lager?
It's Nachos and Lager, but I think it might still redirect you to my new one.
Okay, so Nachos and Lager is the thing to do. You're gonna find everything you need at Nachos and Lager. And this weekend at Revolution Brewing, the tap room and the brew pub, the big VSOJ tapping. Is that and that doesn't start till Friday though, right? Or am I
Friday
wrong?
at noon at the pub and the tap room. It's gonna be a fun one.
Okay, and there's going to be all sorts of things. Will there be gyrating? Will there be people doing pre-pandemic things?
Everyone's getting back out into the world. I can't account for what they'll do, but my instinct, again, as a social scientist, is that people can get a little silly.
Let me ask this.
Quick question. You mentioned it's the first big event since last January. Do you think that it's going to get so packed there's going to be like a line going around the block?
It's hard to tell because we did pre-orders this time. It's not like when you had to line up for the beer. Honestly, my best answer is we don't know, and it's kind of cool to be going into an in-person experience we don't know about yet.
Yeah,
nice.
I think John's telling you, Cody, just take Friday off.
I might.
I don't plan a whole lot for Saturday morning either.
Yeah, that's probably true. Well, I said to Debbie, I go, hey, since you like lighter beers, you can drive, or we'll just get a car. Yeah, listen.
Party responsibly.
I'm not completely irresponsible. So go to Revolution this weekend. Go to Revolution all the time. Follow nachosandlager.com to get the book, Pizza for Everyone. Congratulations on this, John. It's an unbelievable project. The whole, as you said, you're coming up on a year of doing good things for people, which I didn't think after the last few years, there were people who still did good things. And I say that facetiously. I know there are people who do good things, but you were doing good things with a hand-drawn cardboard sign in an alley, which on the surface sounds like it could go completely the other way from doing good. And yet here we are.
If modern media has taught us anything, there is a very thin line between creepy and exclusive. And I'm really toeing the edge.
Now, when you're just out there in a hoodie in the fall, having pizza, people just drive up. Were you ever worried that the cops would think you were making some other sort of deal in the alley? Because your sign, your homemade sign, while I know what it is, if you're not tuned into the tavern cut pizza thing, you go, what is this guy up to? Is he selling satellite dishes? What's happening over here?
I would be happy to introduce Chicago's finest too. I'm not selling anything.
That's true. You're giving them away. People are making a donation and you are just handing them. That's their receipt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or not.
The neighbors seem chill so far. So, let's hope that continues.
Well, and it's not like you're running a 24-hour-a-day business. Once a week. couple people come by.
And you know that because I still like pizza.
Yes. Oh God, that would be true. Have you ever worked at in a restaurant setting where finally you were like, I can't eat this anymore?
Yeah, I couldn't eat elotes for a long time. That was my first job, cooking off elotes on the
really?
grill. And God, that's just the worst food to get sick of because that's just the best food to eat.
Yeah. Well, very nice.
But I gotta say, I worked at Cold Stone Creamery for like 7 months, and I never got sick of that. It was like the highlight of my shift. I didn't even care about the paycheck. I just wanted that free creation at the end of every shift.
Man, and the diabetes mystery deepens.
Yeah, everything he says, from the Peachtree Schnapps to the Cold Stone Creamery, it's all. I don't know, Cody. It's not
starting to add up.
Hard to figure
starting
it out.
To add
it
up.
is.
Yeah.
Well, listen, it was so nice of you to come on. It's a pleasure to see you. I can't wait now to see you in person this weekend. Even if Cody flakes, know that I am not. I will see you Friday.
No, dude, I gotta bring my baby so he can start early. You know, gotta get whet his appetite with a little bit.
The tap room's still family friendly, right?
Yeah, but not during the release because we were at such weird capacity.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
No baby on Friday, Cody.
We are usually quite family friendly.
How about you just leave them in the car and crack the windows?
They do not let you do that.
They don't?
I know
things
it's been
have
a while
changed
since Molly was a girl. But
yeah, things have changed since I was father of a young child.
There are commercials about that.
Are there really?
Wow.
What if I left my dog in there with him? So the dog and the dog could take care of the baby so nobody'd steal him.
That's just two 501c3 nonprofits yelling at you.
Is that the commercial with the guy with the headdress standing on the beach, and then the trash is there, and then there's one single tear going down his cheek? That's the one. Right?
It was a Pepsi commercial, I think.
I think so too. With Kylie Jenner, he was crying because Kylie Jenner was in it.
Oh yeah, she solved the police violence thing.
She did. Thank God for her. Thank God for all the Kardashians. All right, so one more time, look at that book. You can't get better than that. Pizza for Everyone, because you know it is in fact for everyone. Designed by Zach Sherwood, John Carruthers put it all together. He's the man behind it. Thank you. I can't be. I'm very honored to be part of it. I'm very happy you're here. It's always fun to talk to you because you know a lot of stuff. You're an interesting guy.
I just talk a lot.
But it sounds good. Stuff. The words go together in the right order, and it all kind of plays out that way.
Well, I appreciate that. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
Well, I try to be nice right before I tell you goodbye.
All right, goodbye. It was a pleasure, guys.
Bye, John. See you later. That's the great John Carruthers. Oh my goodness, it was nice to have a guest. We haven't had a guest in a while, so it was nice to see John. Now, are you gonna flake on me on Friday?
No, I asked my wife for permission, and she didn't. Now, I didn't know if you were asking me on a date. Or if this was like a
no. I said to Debbie, I want to go Friday. I said I'd love you to come. I said I think Cody might come. So no, it's a public place. If I'm going to take you on a date, it's just going to be to the back of the car.
Sure.
After a few VSOJs and
and one of those coffee things that's 18% or whatever.
Yeah. I'm going to give you 2 pours of that 82% coffee beer and I'll be able to do whatever I want, quite frankly.
Oh my God. You're going to have to know ahead of time. I will be legally obligated to invite Icebag John, who lives literally half a block away from the tap room.
The nice thing about that, I'm happy. I think that will be nice to see. I haven't seen Icebag John in a long time.
It won't be nice.
Revolution has their own cooling systems, as do most tap rooms. So like he doesn't need to bring ice. They have ice. They have oh man. Now they've got a thing where you go get your own water. They have still and sparkling to get your own water. Wow. You want a little sparkling water with your beers.
Wow.
Yeah, very nice.
For those not in the know, the non-longtime listeners, I had a party once and I asked my friend John to pick up ice on the way over because I needed ice for the party. And he used his ice machine at home to dispense ice cubes into Ziploc bags. He brought 2 large Ziploc bags of ice from his ice machine. And thus Brian dubbed him Icebag John, which is pretty much it's almost all you need to know about him. Not quite, but it's getting close.
There's more. Yeah. I haven't seen Icebag John since your wedding.
That's fine. That's
Here's what I like about you, Cody. This is a guy who you claim to be a friend of yours. And yet, every time his name comes up, you make it seem like seeing him is the most uncomfortable thing on the planet.
Excruciating. Yeah, excruciating. Now, he was in my wedding, but
he was at your wedding.
I've made mistakes in my life. No, John, we
go
back,
it, buddy.
We go way back. But yeah, no, I will be there. It'll be a boys' night, plus I guess your wife if she comes. But yeah, it'll be. I just can't wait to get my hands on that VSOJ. I was gonna, and I didn't want to like rant or seem like I was just trying to kiss butt or whatever when John was here. But like, dude, I got some of that. I got a crowler of honey jackets. They sold out a honey jacket right away last winter. And I got a crowler of it because they were, like a week later, randomly the website popped and it was like, hey, we have this in a crowler now. I'm like, oh my God, I got it. Damned if it's not one of the best beers I've ever had, ever.
Really?
Like it just killed me. So, and overall, I also didn't want to rant about this with John here because I don't want to seem over determined, but I love Goose Island and I love the Bourbon County Stout release. But what I like so much about Revolution's Deepwood series is not only that they're comparable in quality to the Goose Island releases, but also that they are so much less of a thing to get.
Yes.
A big part of me likes the hunt for the Goose Island Bourbon County Stouts. But as I discussed back in November and December, what ended up happening was there were certain variants that establishments were only selling as giant $100 packages with many other beers, and it's like you had to, I remember saying this. I spent $300 or $400 on Bourbon County Stouts. And I got a zillion, but like there were only like 7 that I really wanted to get my hands on, and the rest was just gravy. I drank them all. I liked it, but with Rev, you go on the Revolution website. It goes up for pre-order. You got to snag it. And then in the first 10, 15 minutes or it's gone. But as long as you go to the website, it doesn't crash. You don't have to go on this hunt for it. I don't have to drive to Tinley Park to get it. And if it sells out, I can just go to the Revolution tap room and get some. So I just like the simplicity and I like the accessibility of it. And the flavors are just, they're so good.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to turn my camera off for 1 second, only because Mike is saying that I am not synced up, that my lips are moving slowly. So hang on.
Oh yeah, you were a half a second behind. You could have just hit the V button to turn off video. It's a little shortcut.
Well, I know I could have, but no, that's not really working anyway. Well, we're not going to be here too much longer, and just close your eyes, and or I'll just do this, and then you won't even know where my you won't know. Of course, that blocks the microphone, so it's not great at broadcasting. But hey, what'd you think? I was interested in asking you about this because it seems to be again that we are lashing out against billionaires. How'd you feel about Richard Branson going to quote unquote space?
I think I saw one tweet about it. I didn't even know that happened this week. I totally spaced on that. I did. I just, whatever. I don't know.
Well, you're a science guy. That's why I thought maybe this would be something right up your alley because, they're saying, oh, this could lead to a lot of good things for space travel. And I like space travel. I like the, NASA, I like I remember the Apollo missions. I remember, the shuttle. I remember where I was when the Challenger blew up. I think it's a shame that because of budgetary concerns, we had to put space travel on the back burner as a country with NASA and stuff. But I didn't know it was happening either. I knew it was coming up, the race between Branson and Elon Musk. And then next week, I think it's Bezos is going up in his rocket. But I was sitting there Sunday morning eating breakfast, and they broke into Good Morning America right before Fat Chris Christie was able to start yapping. And I got to be honest, it was really cool to watch. Mm-hmm. It was. Now I know there's a lot of debate as if whether he actually did go to space.
Yeah.
NASA defines it. NASA says how the height he went was technically the edge of space. So he went to space. Okay. Bezos is going to go higher because you have to keep competing. But watching the technology and watching the mothership, the plane, it was like two planes connected, and then the rocket thing was in the middle. And the plane went up, and at 50,000 feet, it unlatched the rocket. The rocket dropped for a second, then the engines ignited, and whoosh, it took off. And I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Now, so, but are you of the camp that says, and I'm of two camps on this. So I'm interested to hear your theory first. Where do you fall? Do you think this is great? And he's a billionaire, he can do whatever he wants, and maybe down the road it will help the country with space travel because it'll be privatized? Or are you of the camp that says, well, if he could spend that much money just to take a 5-minute ride in space, why doesn't he pay taxes and give that money to help fight hunger, homelessness, cancer, your cause here?
No, I mean, of course, the second one is how I feel. When I interviewed Bill Nye a couple months ago, he waxed poetic about space travel, and he talked about how it brought everyone together, and that we don't really, as a race anymore, as human race, have a lot of events that really bring us together and have us look in awe and say, we're all collectively looking up. And that is a thing that we had with early space travel. I don't know that commercialized space travel will accomplish that. I don't think anyone is going to watch Jeff Bezos fly up into space and say, wow, look at all we can do. I think that it's a very us versus them exclusive thing. And the other thing is, I thought I've mentioned this to a few people. I've had like 3 or 4 separate people unironically say, I hope the rocket explodes and somebody dies. Like, now I do not share that sentiment. But what I think is interesting about that is that if Jeff Bezos flies up there, the rocket blows up and dies, and let's say he dies in the space mission. And what I'm about to say is not controversial. I know you think that what I'm going to say is
no. I'm not. I'm just saying.
Yourself,
I hope this. No, I'm not.
No one. Yeah, no one. Hopes
I know you do not wish death on anyone.
Sure, but what I found interesting is that upon reflection, I thought about it, and if you do the mental, just do this thought experiment with me. If he goes up there and dies and blows up, and Jeff Bezos is dead, aside from a person being dead, which is objectively sad, I don't think anyone will find it a loss. And what I mean by that is you have the richest person on the planet with the most resources of everyone on the planet, and he is doing so little to help anyone that no one is going to think it a tragedy if he actually dies up there. He is not doing a lot right now to help anyone. And what I think the point of me saying this is that how sad is it that your entire legacy is just that you accumulated and hoarded wealth and did nothing to help others. And no, of course he employed people. He built a big company. He paid some executive salaries, but by and large, he has done less to help the human race, wealth inequality, fix our broken healthcare system, any of a million, literally billions actually of things that you could do to make the world a better place. His legacy would just be he was a rich guy that tried to go to space and died. And it would not be considered a loss, I don't think, to America. I am not going to weep, for this guy and think to myself, wow, what a loss. Look at all those good things that happened. And that I think is the real tragedy of just his existence. It's sad. It's sad and embarrassing, and it's a terrible legacy. Like, I've been exposed to some obituaries recently. The front page of the local newspaper talked about a fire chief that passed away. His family talked about how he was a nice guy. Everyone said he was a nice guy, and he did all these things. And it got me thinking. I'm like, what will people say about me when I go? And I hope that people say some nice things, and that they think, like Cody tried to entertain people, or he tried to make people happy, or, he really cared about his family and all that stuff. And that I think I'm better positioned right now to die and have people be more upset about it than the richest man on earth. And I think that's just a sad state of affairs. And it's very odd to me.
I know you thought I was bracing because you thought I thought you were going to say something horrible. What you said is not horrible. It's, and granted, he has family and friends that would be devastated.
Sure.
No matter how bad, I always try to remember this. No matter how bad a person is, there's somebody that is going to be sad when they go.
Yes.
But your point is well taken that, and I think you can make that point, and correct me if I'm wrong. You make that point without saying, hey, there shouldn't be billionaires. That you're saying, because I am all, listen, if you're that smart and work that hard and you can make that money, good for you. But I do think then, and this is, I think, where we agree, that there is a responsibility, not to give everything away, but to do something. Mm-hmm. And yes, he employs a lot of people, depending on what you read or who you believe. A lot of those people, it's not a great place to be, to work. It's, so that's with a lot of major corporations. People complain about Walmart, they complain okay. So you put that aside, but there is some responsibility, and it's can be as simple as, hey, we got to change things so these guys are paying their fair share. That doesn't mean you're anti-capitalism. I'm all for capitalism. I'm all for guys making as much money as they can. But if you're a preschool teacher and you have to pay your taxes, or you're a firefighter, or you're working at McDonald's, any part-time job, you have to pay taxes. Well, these guys should have to pay their taxes too. Mm-hmm. And then, at that point, then it's up to your own personal thing. But I think if you're paying your share, okay, would it be nice if these guys then took some of their money and put it to work solving some of the country's and the world's ills? Yeah, it would. Is it better than trying to go to space? This is a bald-faced, just three egos trying to, if any of these guys was working with NASA and going, okay, I'm out of it. I'm just funding this because I think our country should go and explore and see. And they were just funneling their money into that. I don't think it would have the bad taste that a lot of people are experiencing with this. This is just, hey, Richard Branson went up so he could be upside down and weightless for 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. And now, hey, but other people will be able to go. Well, really, it's $250,000 to go. We know who can go, the ultra rich. Mm-hmm. And again, I have no problem with the ultra rich. The ultra rich can do what they want.
Like if Bill Gates wanted to hop up on a space shuttle thing, if Bill and Melinda were still together, if Bill and Melinda Gates said, hey, we're going to go to space real quick, and something happened,
we're going to go to space real quick,
just
for lunch in space.
I don't think it would have the blowback. And I think if something, tragically happened to them, I think people will be more upset because, I disagree with a lot of Bill Gates' politics. I think some of his patent trolling is a little reprehensible. But look, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's done some good stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're public about it. They're, pretty transparent about it. They've done some good stuff. And so I think that he's been a force of good in society. And if you have as much power as Bezos or Branson or whoever, and the society you live in wouldn't see it as a loss if something happened to you, then I think you've just wasted your life.
And that's why he was replaced as CEO last week.
Yeah.
So that if something did happen, God forbid, the company would not miss a beat.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that, I know that wouldn't go together. And now they're getting divorced, Bill and Melinda. But yeah, so I don't know.
It was still a good analogy.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think anybody is happy that he's going because what has he done for them? And why would I root for someone that hasn't even remotely expressed any interest in making anything better? And
yeah, the funny thing was, who was on board is not what thrilled me. It was watching this happen and then watching it come back and hearing a former NASA astronaut describing what it was, and her going, I was up there a lot and I would go back there in a second. And I would stay up there for as long as needed in a second. And you could see the joy and the awe in her because now we were talking about going back to space. It had nothing to do with Richard Branson. It was watching this thing take off, do what it was supposed to do, and then come back down. And as it was interesting as she explained, hey, they're not using engines now. They're just gliding back in. There's some compressed air that they can use, but this is basically they're coasting and watching it. So that part of it was exciting to me to think maybe it's, we can, as a country, we can get back to doing that, because it goes back to what you said before when you were talking to Bill Nye. It was a huge thing, especially, you're too young to remember, but during those Apollo missions, it was, everybody was paying attention. Everybody was glued to this. And anybody who was around when the Challenger exploded can tell you, because we were all watching that too, because, hey, there was a teacher who was, had gone through training, and now she was going to be the civilian that was going on. It used to be a big thing to coalesce this country. And, well, it's a very simplistic view, but we need some things to coalesce us again, because it's surely not happening now.
Yeah, no. And also, Bill Nye made the point that it costs us to explore space, essentially, to fund NASA and so much of what they're doing. It costs taxpayers less than the price of a cup of coffee every few years. And he's not talking about like a latte from Starbucks. He's talking about just a regular cup of coffee. I mean,
cup of Joe?
Yeah, cup of Joe. The amount of money that we as citizens are paying to help fund this kind of stuff is laughably small, and especially considered, compared to our military budget, which I won't get into because you all know how I feel about that. It's bloated beyond reason. But it is dirt cheap. And the things that we're able to do, and there are so many inventions. We actually just did a story like a month ago on Curiosity Daily about all the inventions that came out of NASA research and NASA funding. Fun fact, duct tape, not one of them. Common misconception. Also,
I always thought that was a thing.
No, a common misconception. Tang, also not one of them. Tang was invented first, and then they started to use it in space, and Tang started to market that they used it in space, which definitely helped sales. But actually, Tang came first. Anyway, really? I digress. But there's a lot of really cool things, like different types of plastics, different types of lots of things that have come from our research into space and have helped make the world better. I mean, GPS, right? Like GPS is all run by satellites and stuff. All sending those into space is pretty amazing. So, there's just so many. There's so much utility, and like, it's not only about the personality of like some billionaire that's we have nothing in common with goes to space, but it's also like, what's the point, right? Like they're going to space for going for space's sake. They're not going to research anything. They're not going to.
No, they're just going up to go. Whoo, we're weightless for a few minutes. Look at us.
It's a joyride, and that makes it a little emptier too. So, I hope that there are more research missions that get a lot of attention. I don't think that they're doing a lot of good necessarily. Maybe there's some 10-year-old out there.
I'm hoping some of the technology does filter into NASA and a country, our country's space program, not Space Force, but the space program. So if that can be, because if they're using their money to do all this R&D and all of that, well, maybe it will go more toward research down the road. At first, it's like, woohoo, look what we did.
If Bezos lets them. I mean, like SpaceX got this huge contract. Elon got this big contract. And then all of Bezos's lawyers start jumping in like a swarm, suing the government and being like, hey, you can't give the contract to them. We should get it, blah, 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 and halting everything. Like Bezos is being actively counterproductive towards U.S. goals in space. So like he sucks. Like he sucks as a person. Like he really sucks as a person. And it's like, why can't you not suck?
It should be easy when you're that rich to not suck.
It should be like my wife read this, not an expose, but this like in-depth piece about him in the Atlantic, and they interviewed all these people around him and stuff. And I guess he sees himself as like a Captain Picard kind of person. He like idolizes Jean-Luc Picard. And I'm like, have you never seen an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation? Everything you're doing is counter to everything he stands for. Like
you're the anti-Picard.
How are you this bad at what you do? Like, how can you amass that much money? And like, he's an actual sociopath. Like something is wrong with him.
Well, he's not bad at what he does. He may be a bad human being. with a lack of empathy and things. But he's
I
good at
don't-
business.
I don't believe there are bad human beings. I believe there are
Right.
human beings that do very bad things. And I think he's
Okay.
bad at being a good human being that does good things. But I don't think he's like
Okay.
a bad person. I think he's just sucks. He's just bad at caring about people. He's bad at relating to people.
What if you found out that he funded like 40 different animal rescues anonymously?
Then he should tell somebody.
He just loves puppies and kitties and armadillos, and he has funded all these things to protect them. But he never said anything. What if he's one of those guys who believes charity should, you should just do it and shut up?
Nah, there's no way. There's no way.
Somebody'd find out.
No, because the only reason I don't believe that is because the amount of money that he'd be throwing around would be so, like you don't have, well, maybe you do.
Maybe
but
he's
at the
just
leader-
at one of those $50 every month. It just automatically comes out every month.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't know. That Games Done Quick thing last week, benefiting Doctors Without Borders, that video game marathon, I donated $250. Like that's
You're
a
good
lot of
man,
money.
Charlie Brown. That is a lot of money.
I'm a young guy. I'm a young dad. I've got a family. I got a mortgage and stuff. I'm just starting out, but like, and I don't have a ton of money to throw around, but like I budget an amount to give to charity because I'm like, I have the means, I'm not rich, but I'm not poor. I have the means to help someone and I can help Doctors Without Borders. So a couple times a year, I donate a couple $100, like that's my responsibility as a responsible citizen is to help with this stuff. And I guess he just didn't get that memo and it sucks.
You're a good man.
I'm an okay guy sometimes,
You strive to be better, which is nice.
I strive to just care about people and help when I can, which again isn't a lot always. And I don't always go very far out of my way. It's not like I had to go somewhere. I just clicked a couple things, but it's easy to give sometimes. And why not do it when you can? I don't know. That's
listen, you don't have to justify being you don't have to justify being a good person. Going back to the uniting the country when space travel was a big deal. This made me think of it because you were talking about Tang and how everybody was, Tang, the astronauts drink Tang and duct tape is from the thing. They used to sell, Pillsbury used to have these space food sticks. And they were energy food and they were marketed as something that the astronauts would eat. And, they came in, they almost looked like fruit by the fruit roll-ups kind of thing, but they were kind of pasty. And Pillsbury made them, and they would come in this box of 6, and space food sticks. They tasted like dog underbelly. They were not good. But I'm looking at pictures of them now, and they had the different flavors, and they were they really marketed them as they're healthy and handy, according to the ad. Which I handy, I'll give them. It was the energy snack developed by Pillsbury under a government contract in support of the U.S. aerospace program. A balanced nutrition food, chewy peanut butter flavored. You get 15 sticks in a box.
Ooh.
Space food sticks. That's when everybody wanted to be an astronaut. Everybody wanted to go to space. Linda says chewy chalk. Yeah, they were not good. And I haven't, I think I had one in second grade, and I still can still taste it. Nasty. How's the balance stool working out for you?
It needs I gotta get used to it. You could probably tell I stood up for a little while. I am now sitting on it again. I just gotta look up like a tutorial video on how to like how high should it be, how much should my legs sit on it, how much weight should I put on it?
Does it the height adjusts?
The height adjusts. Yeah, the height adjusts. Like the specific reason I got this one is because the height adjusts so high that it's taller than my butt.
Oh, good.
And I'm very tall, right? So you
are very tall.
That's a thing that's hard to accomplish. So I got one that's tall enough, but it's like, does it need to be higher than my butt? And then I get on it like a bicycle and then kind of lean, or do I put it a little lower and then sit on it and then lean forward? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to use it. I need instructions.
The top looked very small for me. It almost looks like it would be inserted into me. And that doesn't seem like it would be, a comfortable sit.
I think the weight limit's like 250. So,
But I mean, just the circumference of the pad looked small.
it's not huge. It's pretty like the pad itself. I think it's pretty comfortable. Actually, it's quite cushy, very cushy. So, I don't know.
A couple comments coming in from YouTube, Cody. We like YouTube. The people watching us on YouTube. Carol said she loves space food sticks when she was 7. And Doug said space food sticks could also be used for caulk. I also ate them as a Saturday morning breakfast snack. They were advertised hardcore on Saturday during cartoon kids programming. Oh, because who didn't want to be an astronaut?
Right.
Well, you probably, but maybe you didn't. But in the 70s, everybody wanted to be an astronaut because it was cool.
Everybody said that you want to be an astronaut, but then no one understands that you have to learn like 3 languages now.
Very hard to be an astronaut.
For the International Space Station part, you got to be really good at math and science. And like, it's funny, like people be like, "Oh, I want to be an astronaut," but it's like no one ever really talked about what you have. Like,
well, yeah, but when you're 7, you could say one day you want to be a cowboy, and the next day you want to be an astronaut. When you're, it's when once you get into like junior high and then high school, and you go, "Man, I hate physics." What do you want to be when you grow up? Not an astronaut anymore. You learn it, but when you're little, who does the thought of going into space and riding on a rocket? Oh man, wearing those big I'm from wearing the big space suits with the giant helmets like Tom Hanks in Apollo 13. Fantastic.
Almost missed Mike's reference. That would make Bezos a douche mega yacht. Yes, it would.
Yes,
it would.
We saw a mega yacht the other night.
Why?
I don't know. It wasn't a mega yacht. It was probably just a yacht. It was one of those companies that give cruises on Lake Michigan. Because we were in the little Skyline boat, went for that fire. I got to recommend that highly. And I'm not getting paid. Debbie bought the tickets. We paid cash money. So yes, because we left the dock at 9:30 in the PM. And we went north a little bit. And then came back and went south and went down toward the museum campus and pulled back around. And we were perfectly lined up with the fireworks off of Navy Pier. It was phenomenal. You're sitting on a boat. I can't ever watch fireworks from anywhere but a boat from now on. I am a man of the sea, Cody. That's what I am. I need to be. I am the life aquatic with Steve Zissou. I am Jacques Cousteau. I'm a man who must be at sea to be at peace. What do you think of that?
It's pretty great.
It was phenomenal.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time. That's fantastic.
I had on a cheap rain poncho, and it was a little breezy. So I had pulled my arms in like a turtle who had been frightened, and that amused Molly to no end because I didn't have anything else on. I had a T-shirt, and then my blue drugstore rain poncho.
Yeah.
But it was fine. I was like a little kid when those fireworks started going off.
That's awesome.
But they have a bar on the boat, which we did not avail ourselves of because we had gone out to dinner. But there were people on there who, before the boat left the dock, were starting to hammer drinks. And then they hammered them all the way. And one of the women who was doing this, there was a big party. She started calling for the finale of the fireworks display about 28 seconds into the fireworks display. Nope, that's it. That's the finale. No, it's not. They just started. Nope, that's the finale. Shut up. Every 3 minutes, that's got to be the finale. Have you lost all sense of time out here in the, out in the middle of the lake? We weren't even in the middle of the lake. We were still inside the buoys, I think.
It's very dark out in the water. You can't see the
dark
sun.
Very dark, but there was a yacht. One of the companies in Chicago has this giant yacht. Then there was a tall ship that people were, and all the companies have these things. So they were all, in kind of a half moon from Navy Pier out, and then the fireworks were going off. So every boat had their little spot to park, anchor, wherever, stop, and float and bob and see the remotes.
Nice.
Oh, Linda's asking, maybe we do a remote show from a boat on the lake. Because I know there's booze cruises.
You said we could sit out. You would sit out and see the remotes because you were reading her comment while you were you were talking.
The boats, the remotes. Yeah, I should really. I don't know what I say anymore.
They all circle around to see them. No, it's fine. It's getting late.
To see the fireworks. Yeah. So it was,
Yeah,
so if you're ever looking for something fun to do that's not a whole ton of dough, that's it. But if I may, try to walk to Navy Pier, because man, they bend you over for that parking.
God,
They
no.
they put a bit in your mouth and hold your hair and call you daddy. They, man, oh man, they screw you for that parking.
That's
at Navy
graphic.
Pier.
Yeah, no, God,
It was graphic. I'm sorry.
never. No, I wouldn't do that. No, I'm still trying to figure
I
out how we're
apologize.
gonna. I still no, still trying to figure out what we're gonna do for Guns N' Roses, because that's on a Thursday at
Right.
Wrigley Field in September, and then the nearest hotel for one night is like $700.
What?
Because it's Wrigleyville, and that's just what you pay up there. There's one like a mile or two away for a couple $100, but then it's like, because we got to drop the kid off somewhere for a babysitter first. We had that lined up. We'll
Listen,
do
for
that.
$250, we'll watch your kid. I'll drive you to the red line and pick you up at the red line.
Well, part of me is like, yeah, it's a big
that's
party.
cheap.
You know what the heck? Let's just stay downtown and downtown. Wow, I sound like a suburban night. Stay in the city, but then it's like, well, is it worth a couple $100, or do we just get our way back? If we make our way back, we'd want to Uber. That's already like, let's say $50-$60.
At least.
So I don't know. It's tricky. It's tricky planning something when all the hotels are just going to gorge you.
And every place is, man. And then if you find a place that's really cheap, there's a reason it's really cheap.
Yeah.
You're going to get murdered, sell crack, or get, have roaches crawling into your orify.
Wow.
That's right. Graphic again. I'm all graphic all the time. That's how we ended up. That's how we wrap it up. We're graphic. Very, very graphic. Anything else you want to talk about before we start wrapping things up?
No, we got to wrap. It's bedtime, but it is Shark Week this week. So, check out Discovery.
Yeah. Right. And go to Curiosity Daily Podcast, curiositydaily.com. Hear Cody wax poetic with his co-host about science issues and stories and all kinds of interesting things every day. It's a short time. Learn a lot in a little. Mm-hmm. That's it. You learn a lot in a little bit of time. Well, listen.
Opposite of this show.
Right. Here you learn nothing in a long time. Oh, wow. Is that swag?
Bottle opener, yeah. Yeah, got this one like a year and a half ago when we got acquired. Good time.
That is nice swag. Nice shark bottle opener.
Not bad.
Sweet. I thought last week was Shark Week. Now I have to go down and look.
It started Sunday. It starts on the weekend, so it throws people off.
Is it ever not Shark Week, though? Let's be honest. I think it's always should be Shark Week. Shark Week is fantastic. All right, I know this is going to surprise you, but Walter is here, so I have to go down and see what's going on with Walter. Yep.
Oh, I'm
here
shocked.
again. No, you shouldn't be. I guess we've adopted him. He's here a lot, but it's always a joy. So, all right. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thanks to John Carruthers for joining us. That was a lot of fun. Don't forget the book, Pizza for Everyone. My essay is called Pizza, a Love Story, and it is on page 150. Look at that beautiful layout. That's by the fine designer, Zach Sherwood. So go to Nachos and Lager. You can order one of the books, help out a great nonprofit. Listen to Cody every day on the Curiosity Daily Podcast. That should be about it. All right. We will talk to you again next week. Don't forget, tell your friends, hit the like button, subscribe. Leave us, what do they leave us? A 12-star review, Cody? Is that possible?
14 at least.
14-star review. That's what this podcast is definitely needing. All right. Have a lovely week. We will talk to you again when we talk to you. Good night. Good night, Cody.